Hello, what about you? You're very welcome. Thank you for joining me. A special thanks, as always, to my little band of Patreon followers who throw in £5 a month to enable me to continue to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Aye. Just when you think the Israeli government and the IDF have hit rock bottom in their brutal, inhumane genocidal attack on the Palestinians, they managed to find a trapdoor. I've already touched on the utterly tragic story of the Palestinian pediatric surgeon, whose home was bombed by the IDF on the 23rd of May, killing 9 of her 10 children, leaving only her doctor husband and one son clinging to life. Well, sadly, her husband, Dr. Hamdi al-Najjar, 40, died last Saturday of his injuries. The couple had founded a private medical compound in Khan Yunis, of which Hamdi was the head. His brother, Dr. Ali al-Najjar, described him as a loving father who would tend to poor patients for free. A British surgeon working in the hospital who operated on the surviving son told the BBC that it was unbearably cruel that his mother, Ala, who'd spent years caring for children as a paediatrician, could lose almost her whole family in one IDF strike. Response from the IDF has been the usual stock response to such atrocities, saying that they were reviewing the circumstances around the attack. The sad truth is, such war crimes are happening daily as the IDF continue to starve and bomb the Palestinian population into extinction. Having now demanded the ethnic cleansing of the north of Gaza, having reduced that part of the country to a smouldering wasteland reminiscent of cities after the Second World War, the IDF have now driven that starving population south and are now continuing their policy of using starvation as a tool of war against all international conventions of war. Having denied the UN and other international support agencies access to Gaza to feed the millions now starving, the Israelis, backed by the USA, have set up what they call the GHF, or Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. One top UN aid boss has said it should be called the Inhumanitarian Foundation. This foundation is run, would you believe, by a group of American security contractors, ex-military officers, and humanitarian aid officials. Which means, in good old USA, capitalist style, aid has been privatized. So far, this new body has been found wanting in where there were once 400 distribution centres right across Gaza. The GHF presently only operates at 4 known sites, with only 2 operating at any one time. Their new system demands that those seeking food must walk miles to collect it, meaning that Palestinians, sick, elderly, and the 1,000 disabled by IDF shootings and bombings will be left to starve. But worse, this is hard to believe. On the first days of its operation, the GHF distribution centres, it ended up dozens of those seeking help were shot and killed by IDF forces as they made their way to get food. Having been corralled down a barbed wire corridor towards the distribution centres, starving Palestinians were attacked from tanks, drones, and even IDF ships at sea, leading to dozens of fatalities, with the IDF again saying that they shot at those not adhering to the designated approaches towards the distribution centres. Make no mistake, what we are witnessing in real time is the clinical ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian population from Gaza by the Israeli government. And there can be no more doubt about this, because we've heard this last week from the Israeli Prime Minister's mouth, when he set out his reality, which he said, under the aid mechanism, Gaza's population would eventually be moved to the sterile South Zone. And Gaza's, and he argued that this was for their own protection, while Israeli forces fought Hamas everywhere else. He also said, and this is the clincher, this is the proof. He said that those moved south by the IDF, that they don't necessarily go back. The slaughter in Gaza makes the Balkans look insignificant. But unlike in the Balkans, where an international force from the USA, UK and other nations intervened, today the world turns its face to the wall. And I argue in doing so loses any pretense, if any pretense existed, of being the custodians of decency, democracy and humanity. You just look for some wee spark of hope, you know what I mean? You'll take whatever's offered. Because while the IDF present themselves and their forces as superhuman warriors, they're all kitted out. You ever see the pictures of them with all their kit and all their armour and all their guns and all their stuff posing? Not hard to do when all you're doing is remotely killing women and children with bombs and drones. Well, I believe we had a truer glimpse of their true nature last weekend. IDF soldier Shuki Farage decided to face off against West Belfast fighter Paddy McCrory at Cage Warriors 189 event in Rome. Wasn't a good idea. Wasn't a good idea. Paddy won the event unanimously, having humiliatingly beat the living shite out of the IDF soldier. He beat him around that octagon like a child. So dominant was Paddy that he had time to scream into your man's ear, "Free Palestine," as he had him cowered on the ground.
Free Palestine!
McCrory addressing his fans at Quayside. Big elbows from McCrory. And it's over.
That's the IDF soldier. He got to the ground like a wee bitch and turned into a ball, begging and hoping that the final bell would ring under the Irishman's onslaught. Whoo! You see, the problem he hadn't realised was he wasn't fighting an unarmed woman or a child. He was fighting an Irishman. Fighting an Irishman. And at the end, when Paddy draped the Palestinian flag over his shoulders and screamed into the cameras, his scream wasn't just the scream of a fighter in victory. It was a scream which echoed the frustration and anger of millions of decent people around the world faced to watch the genocidal slaughter being perpetrated by Shuki Farage and his colleagues in the IDF.
Unanimous decision in the right corner, Paddy.
My genuine congratulations go out to Paddy for allowing us for one moment to see some degree of justice enacted on the cowardly bullies and thugs who wear the IDF uniform. This didn't come in a vacuum, of course. The Irish government has led the world in its condemnation of the Israeli assault in Gaza, with Deputy Prime Minister Simon Harris only last week saying that Israel is committing a genocide against the Palestinian people in Gaza, making Ireland one of the first European nations to recognise that fact. In May last year, the Irish government recognised the state of Palestine along with a host of other European countries, including Spain. UK remained silent. They all remained silent. The truth is, for all their military superiority, Israel has lost this war because it has shown itself as a rogue state no different from Libya, Syria, or Afghanistan. It has finally squandered any lingering international sympathy following the Shoah by demonstrating it is willing to inflict the same suffering and death on the Palestinians as was enacted on Israelis in the 30s and 40s in Europe. And I say this as someone who has always argued for the right for the existence of the State of Israel. And I still do. But only as part of a two-state solution where Palestine is given land which is recognized and respected not just by Israel, but by the world. Because Israel should be worried. You really should be worried. I'm the boy who read the works of Primo Levi. I'm the guy who learnt about the slaughter in the Nazi concentration camps. I'm the man who, when I grew up, even visited Auschwitz to see it with my own eyes. Which makes it all the more horrific and bewildering that a nation born in the wake of such brutality and suffering could morph into what Israel has become today. As I reiterate, you've won this battle, but you have lost the war. For you've lost this respect and support of most of humanity. And your only remaining backer is that orange-haired psychopath, lunatic, currently sitting in the White House.
You'll do nothing. You hear me? You'll do nothing.